So, tonight's movie is a film called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. The movie starts off pretty hardcore, and to me, it was like the most intense part of the movie, which kind of gives you a little bit of a preview of what I'm going to rate this movie. It's just a super well done little creepy intro to the movie where this older guy is like down in like this cellar thing, and it's like back in the day, and then he like has his housemaid basically come down the stairs, and he has a tripwire, and she ends up tripping and falling down, and then he gets on top of her and does something to her that just made me like, this isn't happening. And then from there it just kind of went downhill. This is some like bite the curve American History X style that just happened. A big kind of theme of this movie is Katie Holmes and Guy Pearce are the parents, and then there's some girl, no name actress, little girl. I mean, maybe she's a big actress. I don't know who she is. Just some little girl. But basically, Katie Holmes and this little girl, and Katie Holmes is a stepmom, and it's kind of that typical like stepmom and stepchild relationship throughout the whole movie. It's just kind of to me, it's a beaten horse. And this movie really emphasizes like things that go bump in the night, and that's like what it's saying. Like, I mean, don't be afraid of the dark. And when things go bump in the night, it's either a ghost, a person, or a little creature. And in this case, it's a little creature. The little creatures themselves I thought were done really well to look creepy, and some of the imagery that they use in this movie is really well done, but it just really relied on a lot of like jump scares with those little creatures. And I don't like jump scares. Not in the sense that like, oh, jump scares scare me. I think that a good horror movie relies on more than a jump scare, because a jump scare could be anything. It could be the middle of watching TV in the middle of the day, and then suddenly the volume goes from 25 to say 100% with a really loud like train horn, and that's gonna no matter what. So I think jump scares are relevant to the horror series, but I feel like if the movie has too many of them or is too focused on trying to make those happen, I don't feel like it's a good solid horror movie. I need stuff that's going to be creepy imagery, chilling score to the movie that gives you really like the eerie feel, and just kind of eerie things. Jump scares I just feel are like a cheap way out on movies, and this movie relies heavily on those. So if you don't like jump scares, or if jump scares is something that really gets you, this actually might not be a bad choice. The other thing is the little creatures. To me, it wasn't really that creepy of a movie. If a child watched this, I'm sure that kid would not sleep for years. Which reminds me of like when I was a child, there's a movie called The Gate, and these kids, there's a hole in their backyard, and these little like creatures crawl out of it, and it's kind of a really similar thing between these two movies. And I remember as a kid, I had nightmares about that forever. I loved the movie, and I'd watch it all the time for whatever dumb reason, because again, I had nightmares. And so I really like that this is kind of a more current version of that, but at the same time, it's kind of a story that's already been told, or an idea that's already been around. This one I'm going to make a little short. I just wasn't too crazy thrilled by the film in and of itself, and I know that there's some people that really are going to like this movie, but for me it just wasn't there. Again, that beginning scene, if like the whole movie would have had that same kind of eerie, creepy feel, just over the top, like holy hell type moments, I probably would have thought this movie was going to be a lot better. And I was really excited watching that first part. And then like the movie actually like starts basically, or like the main story, like a prelude to the story of what the movie is about. But then it just never really got back to that point. And I think that part of the reason is just with some things with such a bold title as Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, I felt like this would really make something or have a story that really just gave me that kind of creeped out, I'm going to have problems sleeping tonight in the dark, and I'll have to have a nightlight on. An example of that is like the movie Darkness Falls. I remember watching that as a kid, and the whole concept of the movie is if you stay out of the dark, the girl, I don't remember her name, can't get you. And I was staying at a buddy's house, and I had to have been like maybe 10 ballpark, and his parents were renovating their home, and so his room was being added onto the house at the time, because they just bought this house. So they had like a camper trailer type thingy that was on the side of the house that was basically his room for the time being. And so when we stayed the night, it was really cool because we could stay out there, we could stay up all night, be as loud as we wanted, whatever, and it wasn't an issue. But it was ran on the generator, and the generator for that was on the dead opposite side of the house. And so we ended up watching Darkness Falls and being super creeped out and everything like that. I had to go to the other side of the house, and this is like kind of out in like a woody area, and turn the generator off before we went to bed. He made me do it because I don't know. And so I go and I turn this generator off, and there's a light outside of the trailer. And as I turn the generator off, that light starts slowly turning off. And I remember running just as fast as I could to get to that trailer because I was so afraid of the dark at that point because of the movie we just watched. Literally, if you're in the dark, you're going to get killed. This movie just didn't do that. So all in all, I think with this one, I'm going to give this one a 4. Just for me personally, and again, I know some people are going to disagree with that, but it wasn't really feeling this movie. I think there's some things that were done fairly well, but for the most part, it's just a lot of the same. And maybe I'm just becoming jaded in my continuous horror movie day after day after day of this month, but this one just wasn't there for me.